morning. It's Monday, January 25th, 2016. This is your morning edition on I-24 News. Coming up later today, the U.S. East Coast is freezing over after a blizzard of historic proportions, but in the presidential race, things are heating up. Egypt marks the 5th anniversary of the revolution that ended Mubarak's rule, but the country finds little to be celebrated. And later on in the show, the X-Files revival has hit U.S. television tonight, and fans around the world still want to believe. Good morning, I'm Meredith Ross. Thank you for watching. We begin in the U.S., where residents of the eastern states have emerged from under a thick blanket of snow after a weekend blizzard that some are calling historic. The storm paralyzed much of the region, including the metropolises of New York, Washington, D.C., and Philadelphia, forcing the closure of government, roads, bridges, and tunnels, and bringing public transportation to a standstill. In all, there were at least 20 deaths related to the storm, and more than 80,000 people were stuck without power. Nearly 10,000 flights were canceled and many more delayed because of the weather. Now, the blizzard ranked number 2 in terms of snowfall accumulation in New York City history, with 26.8 inches of snow in Central Park by midnight on Saturday, just shy of the record 26.9 inches set in 2006. This according to the National Weather Service. And the following report has the details.
Tonight, millions of Americans digging out from all that snow. A bird's eye view from this drone flying high above Baltimore, providing a snapshot of the monstrosity of snow which literally crippled the mid-Atlantic and major northeast cities. Western Pennsylvania feeling the effects of the winter wallop as authorities scrambled to reopen a section of the Pennsylvania Turnpike near Pittsburgh, where hundreds of vehicles were left stranded. New Jersey also getting slammed. The major issue, flooding. Chunks of ice and feet of water lined the streets as many homes were submerged underwater. Tragedy also striking after a mom and young son are killed by carbon monoxide.
And I try, and my nephew try, and the paramedic try. Those people work so hard.
In Maryland, a celebration after a couple was forced to make a special delivery of this healthy 7-pound baby named Hannah inside of their home after they were buried inside.
Happy birthday.
And in New York, a ghost town at one of the city's busiest transportation hubs. Penn Station almost empty. Cancellations seen all over the boards.
I do not remember it ever looking this empty. In fact, I just took a picture of it myself because I want to remember how empty it is.
And let's go straight to New York City, where we're joined by journalist Becky Griffin. Good evening to you, Becky. So tell us how this affected New York City.
Well, mainly it was very windy, which caused dangerous conditions to drive. So starting early in the morning, they started to shut down bus services, and then they basically shut down the Long Island Railroad. And then came the subway. Now, when you take a place like New York City with all the 5 boroughs that's shut down by public transportation, you're essentially you're causing the city to be in a lockdown, because it's not just about, are they shutting down Broadway and, can you get from one place to another? It's about even the local businesses, the bodegas, the local shops. If they don't live in walking distance from their business, they're going to shut down and they're going to be closed until there's public transportation, or even at around 2:30 in New York, there was a ban for driving unless you were an emergency vehicle. So you weren't even allowed to drive. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, I think anyone can imagine what it's like to basically be locked down in your house for 24 hours.
It actually reminds me of that massive blackout that New York experienced years ago, and it was almost like a zombie apocalypse. That's what people were comparing it to. The streets were empty and pitch black, and it was quite scary. But tell us, are things kind of coming back to normal now? How's the public transportation at this time?
Well, the main issue throughout the day was what's going to happen with the Long Island Railroad, because 300,000 people use that to commute to work every single day in New York. So 2,000 people were basically working just on the Long Island Railroad. It will be open tomorrow morning. It will be working at 80% capacity, not 100% capacity. But I mean, for a place like New York, like I said, again, 300,000 people not being able to get to work, that's a lot. So 80% capacity is pretty good. We're actually pretty lucky compared to, say, New Jersey or Pennsylvania, Baltimore, D.C. I mean, I heard you earlier, you were kind of bringing it up, even parts of Long Island, because the winds and the flooding conditions around created sandy-like conditions, essentially, with the floods and the winds. And I saw people posting pictures from Long Island, which is, just the next county kind of from, not kind of, it's exactly the next county from New York City. And there were homes there that were flooded just like they were in Sandy. New Jersey, the same. So, it was definitely, it was one of the biggest storms, in the history of the East Coast.
Certainly
that's for sure.
A devastating storm. Well, Becky Griffin, thank you very much for joining us from New York, especially at this hour. Hopefully things will slowly start to improve as the weather does. And joining us in studio as well is Ami Kaufman. Good morning, Ami.
Good morning.
So let's take this to a lighter note. We did see some people sledding in that video.
Yes.
So this blizzard has created a lot of viral content.
Oh yeah, a lot of viral content on social media. Let's take a look at some of these videos. There was one, I think, one of the first videos that came out after the storm started to, the record snowfall, was this panda, Smithsonian video. This panda in the zoo in New York City. No, it's not in New York City. I think it's in Washington area. Started to have fun. It's the first time he's ever seeing snow, this panda.
Oh, wow.
So this really went viral in the first few hours of the when people were waking up to the storm.
I think no one could scroll through their news feeds on
everybody
Facebook
saw
without
it, right?
seeing this. Oh yeah, this was.
And I think everybody
everywhere.
saw, by the way, the parody that was made just a few hours afterwards.
I did not.
You didn't? No. Because this went just equally as viral.
Hysterical.
As a man dressed in a panda costume doing the exact same thing as that.
Well, when you have nothing to do and you're snowed in, you might as well make a funny video, right?
Yeah, this was
That's
excellent.
hysterical.
This went really, really viral.
Oh, the internet wins again.
Another one we have is of a man being towed in New York City on a snowboard by a Jeep going through the streets of New York City on a snowboard. This one also went viral. He was eventually stopped by the cops, but they didn't do anything to him.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it could have kind of
Look at
broken
that.
off
It's like
mirrors and stuff.
Yeah, it's like water skiing basically, but with a snowboard.
Pretty cool.
He's being pulled around the, I don't know.
But I imagine falling would be quite painful on that New York City
there are a
pavement.
few moments where he's towing someone else to. That was pretty fun.
Yeah.
If we just have time for one last one,
we do, yeah.
Another one we have is of a woman. When I say snow diving to you, what do you think? What do you think
Snow
of?
diving? I imagine something of the sort of that panda.
Well, take a look.
Oh my God.
Oh, there she goes. No. That's in her backyard. She just literally dove.
Crazy?
She's lucky there's nothing under there that she didn't know about.
I was gonna say, I mean, especially looking like a swimmer herself, diving into shallow water is
Look at that.
Pretty dangerous.
That's gutsy.
How do you know the consistency of the snow that it will even catch
Exactly.
you? Wow.
I don't know if that's gutsy or dumb, but whatever.
Yeah.
She got out of it alive, and,
a lot of
that one
people
went
did that
viral as well.
Ice bucket challenge. So I mean,
Yeah.
Okay. Well, thank you, Ami, for this,
Pleasure.
and you'll be in studio with us for other topics.